Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I am your host, Dancing Johari, and, well, 'tis a season, and that means it's time for the holiday doll. I'm very excited about this one. I hope you will be too. In fact, I can't help it. I'm bouncing! Oh, sorry. I'll try to contain myself. I don't normally bounce like that. Anyway, there's a lot to do, so we should really get started. To the workstation! Welcome to my project box. Inside lurks a doll, waiting, hoping for customization. Alright, that's a little more dramatic than it sounds, but it is an older doll, and she's in really good shape, but her tail likes to pop out, and, well, this hair is a mess. So first things first, we're going to get rid of the hair. I started with a pair of scissors that were a little too dull for this, and they're just really not sharp enough. I'm also going to be very careful cutting around the ears. The ears, essentially, I want to keep. The reason being, I want to make an angel, but not just any angel. I want a kitty angel. Why? Because I love cats. I have 3 of them, and I've had cats now for over 20 years. And I just really, really like angels. Once the hair is gone, I went ahead and used 100% acetone to remove the factory paint. And I also used some lint-free cloths to do this. These are literally like the little pads that you can buy that are lint-free, and they're meant for removing makeup or helping you to clean your face. I also use Q-tips to get into the creases. Those are some pretty good creases too, man. Anyway, but as I was working on this doll, I was thinking a lot about my cat, Dragon, and how much I miss him. He's been gone for quite some time now, passed over the Rainbow Bridge. But, you know, I think about him a lot. Just about every day, actually. Once I had all the factory paint off, into boiling water she went, and off came the head. No problems this time. Then I tried to use my metal chopstick to sweep around inside to remove the hair plugs. But that didn't work, so I switched to my pliers, which worked a lot better. Also, I don't know, but if any other doll customizers are experiencing this, but as I get older, I'm noticing that I need to take more and more breaks whenever I do stuff like this. My hands get tired easily. But it took a little while to get all the plugs out. And there was quite a few plugs. Once all the plugs were gone, well, there's a lot of glue left inside, so I opened up the back of the head with an X-Acto knife. And wow, there's a lot of glue in here. Did you see that huge chunk? Wow! No wonder nothing was coming out through the neck hole. That was not going to come out, no matter how much I wanted it to. Oh well, that's the last of the glue, so let's get rid of it. And let's sew up the back of the head with some waxed bookbinding thread and a really big needle. This takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, and the help of some pliers to push through, I discovered. If you do this method, just take your time with it. Don't expect it to happen very quickly. Once it was all nice and sewn up, I went ahead and used acetone to remove the last of the factory paint. There we go, all nice and clean. Let's head straight into the customization, starting with the face up, my favorite part. Normally, I would do the hair first, but I've got a plan for the hair. But I need these ears accessible so I can blush them along with the rest of the doll. So first, there's pale pink inside the ears. Then I use some gray to create some splotches on the head. And you may notice I'm having trouble building anything up because I forgot to go outside and use a coat of Mr. Super Clear. Oops. So as a result, I don't have a tooth yet. But it does, the plastic still, or the vinyl, still picked up some color. Not as much as I would like, but some. I'm still seeing subtle changes as I go. I went ahead and blushed the lips with some pink, and then I put in some eyeshadow. I think I used just a neutral purplish type. Also keep a kneaded eraser handy for mistakes. And while I had my stuff out, I went ahead and blushed the body, including some more gray splotches and some copper ones too, in various places. I just had fun with it. I still left her mostly white though. After a coat of Mr. Super Clear, I started in with my watercolor pencils, starting with the waterline along the bottom of the eye, and then going in with my eyeliner. I really do have the most fun with the face-ups, and I always look forward to it the most. I scratched in some, well, not scratched, I drew in some delicate lower eyelashes. And then I did the same on the other side. Starting with the top eyeliner. Then going down along the waterline. By the way, if you ever wonder what materials I'm using, I will have a full list in the description box below. I went ahead and also gave her a pink nose. Why? She's a kitty. Kitties have noses, and they have, like, you know, no fur on the tips of their noses, so it appears wet, moist, and colorful sometimes. Sometimes they're just pink, sometimes they're gray, sometimes they're black, sometimes they're, you know, there's so many different colors their noses come out as, honestly. It's always really fun to when you meet a new kitty to see what color noses they have, what their paw pad colors are, what different colors are in their coat, if any. Always lots of fun. I went ahead and used a watercolor pencil at the top of the eye to add in some shadow for just to kind of give it a little differentiation between it and the bottom of the lid. And I just kept working on building up colors. When you get to a point where the colors just won't build up, it's time for another layer of Mr. Super Clear. Next, I tackled the eyebrows. I liked how that first one came out, and then I tried to copy it on the other side, and well, what happened? They're not the same. I'm going to go ahead and erase those, folks, and try again. Okay, that one looks a little bit better. Also, I have my some new listings on my Etsy store. Don't forget to check it out. Links below. And now it's time to blush those lips again. Much better. Yes, having a tooth definitely helps. But I'm also went in with my watercolor pencil to give it a little bit more color, a bit of a color pop, also to outline the lips, and, you know, just add a little bit more color to the crease too. Finally, when I added the pupils to the eyes, of course they have to be slitted. This is a cat! We've got to keep that in mind. I also went in with different colors of purple for the eyes, so I went for the darker for some to add some detail and shadow and differentials. Also some highlights with white. I also added in some highlights, but well, you can't really see it. White on white does not show up very well, so let's continue blushing. I also went ahead and hit those spots by her ears again. I want them a little darker. After another coat of Mr. Super Clear, I went in and gave her a spot around her eye. And then I refined it a little bit with my kneaded eraser. Time to hit those ears again. It's just so amazing watching this character slowly come to life, and you can almost feel their personality just developing as you work. It's so cool. Oh, that's right. I did Mr. Super Clear after I blushed the body again, so sorry. Then I did another coat of Mr. Super Clear. Then I just kept working on building up some colors, including adding more color to the sclera and to the eyeliner. And then I finally tackled the upper lashes. I tried to make them as delicate and as pretty as possible. I still struggle a little bit with drawing in upper lashes just because I'm so used to doing 3D lashes. But I think I'm getting better. What do you think? And well, at this point I started to get a little impatient. I started lifting color off with the tip, off the tip of the watercolor pencils with a damp brush, and tried to put in the details that way. It did work. It works very well, but you have to be careful because it can get very runny very quickly. So you have to be very careful how much water you're using. I was just trying to add a little bit more details to the eyes and just have the color pop a little bit more. It's kind of hard to do that with a dry pencil sometimes. I went back to added some more highlights to make the details I put in a little more delicate. I also added some highlights. And I just kept playing with it until I was happy with it. Finally, I thought I was done, so I started adding in the eye shines. But this is where I say, watch how much water you use. Actually, I think that was just highlights. I also added some highlights to the brows. And then I tried adding it in the eye shines. And as I continued to work, I realized that those eye shines were running. So I removed them and carefully corrected my work using gouache. Gouache is like a watercolor paint, but it's more thicker. So it's more like when it's thick and wet, when it's fresh, it's more like a jelly. So it acts more like acrylic, but it still dries flat. And when it's dry, you can reactivate it with water, as long as there's no varnish on top. But once you put varnish on, it's protected. So I used the gouache to put back in the details I accidentally messed up. Oops. And just to continue playing with it until I got the effect that I wanted. And I do love how her eyes came out. I think this is one of my best face-ups yet. So, happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say. Finally, at last, with gouache this time, I added her eye shines. Wow, she just looks so cool and serene. Finally, I went ahead and used Liquitex varnish, after 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear first, of course, to give a hint of moisture and shine to her eyes. To her lips, and finally to her nose, just the nose tip, just where it's pink. I mean, she is a kitty. Okay, now it's time to address the hair, so I started getting out my tools, and well, where's the hair? The answer, my friends, is I have to make it from yarn. So we're going to make some yarn wefts using gray, orange, and white. And of course a dog brush. There we go. So I started by cutting lengths of yarn with very sharp scissors. I tie them around a hoop that I keep around just for this. You can use whatever equipment you like for that part. Then I just brushed it out with a dog brush. Once it was brushed out to my satisfaction, I straightened it with a straightening iron. Then I cut it. Now at this point, you can glue it into wefts and use it that way. Or you can do as I do. I was wanting a short, poofy hairstyle, so I just got out my rooting tools and I rooted it. Now you'll notice I don't have a lot of wefts sitting there. It's because I didn't want everything to tangle and be useless, so I did a few at a time. Now, with yarn, you don't necessarily have to use glue, but I chose to. I mean, the yarn wasn't going to slip out, but I just wanted to make sure that it was nice and secure in there. So I put in some Galaxy glue and made sure all the roots were coated with a brush. Now let's address the tail. First, this tail is, well, it's really stiff and it's too high. So let's make a new tail for her using this ball joint armature. This is the same kind of armature I use in my mermaid dolls. So I got my Dremel, and on the dot I had drawn with Sharpie on her backside, I made a hole. And, well, that hole's not going to be big enough, so let's widen it with another head. Then once the hole was big enough, I filled it with hot glue, and I glued the armature into place and let it cool. Once it was cool, I put on some gloves and I got out my epoxy sculpt, mixed it 50-50, and I made that extension permanent. This tail is not ever coming off. Then I gave her kitty paws. After all, she is a kitty. And I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do for her shoe-wise, so I thought, why do shoes? Why not give her paws? Once the epoxy was completely cured, I got out some batting and wrapped it around the armature. Then I cut a piece of faux fur, and I sewed it up around my kitty tail. I also glued the base into place once I was completely done sewing using hot glue. That's why I have a hot glue gun sitting there. But I don't think I showed that on camera. And if you're wondering what kind of stitch I'm using what's called a whip stitch. I'm just basically going back and forth. The fur will cover it up. I would normally do a ladder stitch to hide the thread, but the fur literally covers it up and you can't even see it. Once that was done, I went ahead and painted her paws and her claws using acrylic paint. This is my modeling acrylic paints, by the way. There we go. I'm really happy with this doll, and she does sit very well. You just have to kind of use a tail to help her balance. Next, using this Princess Guinevere of Camilla pattern that's I got off of eBay. My husband had made different sizes of it for me, and a year ago I did make an action figure size version of this dress. But both times I've made this dress in the past, it's been in white. So let's just since there's already a lot of white in the doll, let's give her a nice cherry red dress out of velvet. So first I hand sewed the darts. There was 4 darts in total, 2 on the panels in front, 2 on the panels in back. And then I used my machine to sew it all together. I'm very proud of how this dress came out. I used my machine to sew all of it, including sewing the sleeves and the side seams. I added a bit of Velcro to the back to close it up. And then I decided to check her wings for the wing placement. Yes, she's an angel. She needs wings. And these little wings I got at Joann's a long time ago. And I've been saving them for a special project. And this is it. this is totally it. I do have one more set for another future doll. So we'll see what I do next time I decide to do an angel. This dress looks great and it fits her really well. Let's add her head back on. Carefully squeezing the temples. All nice and on and secure. She looks great, but it's very simple. It's a little too simple. It needs something, don't you think? So I went to Michael's and I got some chains and some jump rings. I got some gold ribbon and some embroidery thread. Let's see what I can do with this. First, I cut a red panel. And then, no, we need some contrast. Let's do green instead. So I got out some green velvet, made a ribbon, and using my handy hands, I hand embroidered a bunch of snowflakes in silver and gold. Then I added it to the bottom of the skirt. That's looking great. Much better, but it still needs more. I tried using a belt out of ribbon, but it just wasn't sitting right. But in the meantime, I did start to add little peppermint candies that was made out of silicone. I got these little potion jars from Joann's, and one has gingerbread men, and the other one is peppermint themed. So I took little tiny rubber peppermints and rubbers, gingerbread men, and of course Swarovski crystals, and I glued them onto her dress in various places. Next, let's give her a chain belt instead of the ribbon. Okay, that's better, but it's a little loose. There we go. A jump ring to solve that problem. Let's separate the end of that tassel into two tassels. And after I did that, I added some ornaments and some light pendants. Also, I want to thank Lady Dynamite Creates. She helped me out a lot with some ideas when I was growing short on this project. Huh? Oh, hi there. It looks like you guys have a guest. Hi there. Oh, she's an angel. Huh? Oh, don't worry. Don't be afraid. We're not going to hurt you. In fact, we wanted to thank you for the nice treats. These girls worked so hard, and I forgot to get some this year. Oh, well. Wait, let's take a picture really quick. Everyone say cheese. Thank you guys so much for watching my creation of my doll and my little skit afterwards. I hope you enjoyed how she came out. I will be taking a little break after this, so you won't see me again until January. But I hope you all have a safe and wonderful happy holiday. So take care. What will you create today? Bye.